Well, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Film industry, it's changed it dramatically. Summer movies, the summer, like, I don't know, the summer of, would it have been in the 2020 summer was a really, like, like a devastating for them. Streaming platforms had been always uh, on the precedence of newer things, but now it seems like everything is going to streaming.
Yeah.
And I have been talking to Michelle earlier about how, yeah, I don't mind stuff going to streaming, but if you're going to make me pay extra for it, that's when I have a problem with it. If I have a subscription and then you want me to pay extra for it, that's when I have a problem. Like when Disney released Mulan, they finally did it. And then they're like, okay, but for $30 more,
Yeah.
you can unlock it. And now you can watch it on there for as long as you want. I'm like, for $30 more, I could buy it.
Twice,
Yep.
almost.
Yep. And then, but that's why I'm glad. Like when I heard about, I think it was last week, I was heard about Wonder Woman 1984 being released uh, on HBO Max, and they're not charging you. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. I mean, it's about time we hear something from that. And then, but they're also releasing it in select theaters too. I know that the cast and the directors were not happy about that. I don't know if you have any opinion about that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, like, trying to go into a theater and see it. I think that's why a lot of them, I can't remember the movie, was like, I think it was the new Bond movie, they wouldn't release until they could theaters.
Yeah.
And I remember that's like, that's got to be really tough. And you had to stop production on all these other movies that were supposedly coming out. Um,
Yes.
but so yeah, I can only imagine how it's kind of affected them. And I could see why you wouldn't want it to go directly to HBO. Some of those movies, especially like the superhero ones,
Mm-hmm.
they look really good on the big screen. They sound awesome. But yeah, you might have to wait another year, really, or so before people feel really even safe going to a theater. Who knows? How long?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
But
with you. I think the streaming option is probably the best way to go.
yeah, I think so. It is good about that too. I'm like, I just think if you're gonna stream it, just put it on the platform. I mean, they're saying, okay, this is another example. I don't know if you know if you've ever heard of the comic book, The New Mutants.
Yeah, I was a big New Mutants fan. That was
Yeah,
supposed to come out too, I think, last summer, and it went direct to the video.
it was delayed for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
It was
With
almost
the
2 years, and that was before COVID. And okay, then they finally, okay, Disney, I think in one part, I think it was because one part Disney bought Fox. They knew they were going to buy Fox. And then second, then COVID happened. and then they finally release, they finally release it in theaters. But you can also watch it on another streaming platform. You can pay like $19 to watch it one time
Oh, wow.
when it wasn't, before they released it on DVD. And it was in theaters at the same time. I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to see it, but I'm like, I'm not paying $19 to
Yeah.
watch it one time.
And I think some of that you can't even blame necessarily on COVID, because that was coming before. Because there was a lot of times where they were doing that, and we have 5 people in our family.
Yeah.
Well, to get a new movie for $20 and watch it in my house with my popcorn, on my terms, pause it if we have to go to the bathroom or have a conversation or whatever else. I'm a fan of that.
Well,
So that was already happening before COVID. We were doing that with new releases, watching them in our house. They were just starting to do that on
Yeah.
like Spectrum or different cable platforms. And I am a member of almost all the streaming services because I would much rather watch it at home on my terms. I'm a germaphobe too, so that's a problem. I wonder when last time they cleaned those theater seats.
Right.
So I like the idea, but I do understand your point of like, do I want to pay $30 if I'm already paying somebody $10 a month for their subscription? Then why do I want to pay another $30 for the only good movie that's on there this month?
No, when I was talking about the like the $19, I noticed like on certain streaming platforms like Amazon and stuff like that, like, oh, like how they're like, oh, you can rent this. But I'm like, the prices seem to really start to go up. Like I remember I could get usually it was like $5 or $9 to rent a movie. But then when COVID happened, and then they said, oh, well, for $19, you can rent this movie. And I'm like, that's when I'm like, no. I mean, I know it's a new movie, but no, I'm like, no, I think I can wait. And the New Mutants looked like one of the better X-Men movies that they have released. I didn't see that. I don't know, what was it called? Dark Phoenix or Phoenix, the last one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I don't know who's all in the Dark Phoenix or the New Mutants. Like I don't know who the characters were. I was trying to patch those together from the trailer. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing, because there's X-Force, right?
Huh?
New Mutants became X-Force.
They did?
Yeah, they were like the predecessors to X-Force. This is where like Cable came from, and like Deadpool's first appearance was in like I think it was New Mutants '98 or something like that. So that was, I remember looking at.
Why was I thinking of Alpha Flight when you were talking about X-Force? Alpha Flight was Canadian.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like where Wolverine came from.
You guys are talking like, I'm missing all this.
Yeah, but I mean, since Disney now has the rights to the majority of, because they got the rights back to all of the most of the the Marvel universe, and now that they can do Fantastic Four, they can do X-Men. They don't have Spider-Man. They sort of like got joint custody.
That's weird, isn't it?
I think they're still battling that one.
Yes, because they're supposed to. The deal was Marvel Disney was supposed to help Sony make their movies. I'm like,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the deal was. Okay, we'll let you use we'll let you use the Spider-Man in your movies, but you have to help us make our movies too. And I'm like,
I think that's weird because that's one of my favorite things about the Marvel universe is how it all connects. You can watch one movie and it still makes sense, but when you
mhm.
watch another one, you're like, oh, that's what that was. I get that now. No wonder.
Yeah.
Yes. I wish they would have did that with the DC universe, the DC cinematic universe. But I don't know if they're like, oh, we don't want to copy, or we don't want to, or I don't know what it was, but they're
A friend of
supposed.
my son-in-law's put them all in chronological order, and it's like 157 hours of footage. He took all the Marvel movies and put them in chronological order. So all the stuff happens right. I mean, who has that kind of time? But I would like to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know when I'm gonna have find 157 hours.
We were doing that in my house with my girls. We were watching them, just every week we watch one in a chronological order to try to follow that along. But they're a little too young. We're getting to the Infinity War and some of that stuff gets a little heavy.
Well,
So
seeing some of them, I had not seen
She doesn't
The
like
Thor
Fat
Ragnarok,
Thor.
and I don't talk about Fat Thor. I hadn't seen Thor Ragnarok,
like,
I love
and that
Fat Thor.
and there were things I didn't understand. Like I'm like, what happened to his eye? Somebody explain to me. What about this? Why is Thor fat and ugly? It's like all these things didn't make any sense. So I had to go back and watch that so that I could understand.
That did happen in the comic books. He in one version of actually in one version of the comic books, Thor loses his arm.
That would be worse than an eye.
Well, he loses his eye and his arm. Well,
Oh, that's even worse yet.
I think
But
it
was he
was
fat?
what?
But was he fat?
No, he was as they say ripped,
oh, all right.
but he
Okay,
had
I'm okay with that.
um oh yeah, you can I don't care if you don't have any arms at all, but as long as you're not fat.
Come on. When he grabbed the hammer the first time, he should have gotten buff again.
There you go.
As soon as he was worthy, he should have been, it should have all been over.
Don't you remember in what was it? Was it in not in was it in game or it was what was the last one?
I think I was in game.
In game.
I think it was.
In game where his mother, they were going back in time to retrieve the Infinity Stones, and he met up with his mom, and she did say, "Can you try to eat a salad?"
Yes.
But that was I mean, I enjoyed that. I mean,
See, all women knew that was not okay.
well,
Even his mom.
they are making an okay, do you know about female Thor, or what is her name? Oh, what Jane Foster Thor. She's gonna be the new Thoress. I don't know what you. There was a comic book version of her. About I don't know how many years ago, but it was in Unworthy Thor issue. I forget which one, where he dropped the hammer on the moon, and he couldn't pick it up, and nobody knew who was going to get it next. That's when he had lost his arm, and then he had I think Tony Stark crafted him some kind of metal or cybernetic arm out of this really type of I can't pronounce it. It's some kind of North metal, same metal that the hammer's made out of. But it was also in that comic book, Jane Foster was dying of cancer and she refused treatment from the Asgardians. And so everybody's like, okay, who's going to pick up the hammer? And then, and so that then you just see a hand pick up the hammer. And then after that, there in the comic books, there's this female Thor, but she's got a helmet mask on, and they're like, okay, who is this? I'm like, you know who this is. Doesn't take too much to put 2 and 2 together.
I kind of remember that, but I don't remember. Yeah, I know I don't have those issues.
Well, they are going to put her in the DC universe. She's going to be coming back into the DC universe, Marvel, the cinematic universe.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah,
It seems relevant right now, right? You know, girl power and all this, you know, more female superheroes.
which I don't got a
Seems
problem
to be the
with.
trend, you know.
I don't have a problem with. I tell you, there's been a couple of movies I did not like. Captain Marvel.
I didn't either. I was sad.
Really?
Did you like it?
I did. I like Captain Marvel. Yeah.
I like the concept of Captain Marvel, but I don't like how they told the story. I thought it was confusing.
She's not even the really
movie.
She's not the original Captain Marvel.
No.
She's not even the original first female Captain Marvel. The first female Captain Marvel was an African American woman. I think was that her friend that was in that flight school. I forget her name. She was
Okay.
in the comic book. She was the original one, and she was quite more powerful than.
I don't know. The new one's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
The original Captain Marvel was a guy named Mar-Vell, and he was an alien.
Well, that was one thing I thought in the movie was unclear. Like, was she from Earth and she was just like radioactive or whatever because of that explosion? Or was she actually an alien that was on Earth? And, you know, like I thought the backstory was not even as solid as what you'd like to see for like, there wasn't much story to the movie. It was all backstory. And I still left not really feeling confident about like who she is.
What they did was, it's really not how they did it in the comics, at least not I don't know what they have done in the recent ones, but what they did was, okay, there's a race called the Skrulls, which are shapeshifters.
Mhm.
No. Okay, yeah.
The Krees and the Skrulls were they were always warring alien races.
Yeah, Krees and the Skrulls, which I'm like, why did they not have them in the first Avengers movie? I would have liked to have seen, but I can see why they put them in this one. And the Kree is the race that what's his name, that Mar-Vell is from. He's like, there's blue Kree, there's African looking Kree, and then there's Caucasian looking Krees, but they bleed blue or green, sort of like.
So Jeff, you liked the movie. Did you, had you seen the backstory from the comic books? So you kind of knew?
Remember. Yeah, I don't remember it. I was getting it all kind of new. And that's, I think whenever I was younger, just remembering the character, I do remember the different variations of Captain Marvel too. So I remember it was a little bit different. And I was talking to my brother, and he was like, "Do you remember like the main part of her was whenever Rogue from X-Men, she like latched onto her."
Mhm.
bad and latched onto her too long and kind of sucked up her psyche. And it was like Rogue was two people kind of in that moment, and one of them was Captain Marvel. So I'd forgotten all about that too. To my brother and I were talking about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
So you're like Matt, you've been in this like universe for a long time. I'm new to it.
She
yeah.
always,
I followed my kids into it.
she calls herself a fair weather fan.
You got it down pretty good. I think it's awesome. We collected. Me and my brother collected probably from the time I was like 5, and we've got right around 2,500 books probably between us.
Oh,
Yeah. That's kind of where our comic book money went back in the day. We both had paper routes, and that's what we spent most of our money on. So.
do you ever
Do you have them
get,
worth anything now, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, because even like looking back, like we've got like the first appearance of Venom. I think it's Spider-Man 298. First full issue. Some of them we didn't take good care of, but we collected almost all Marvel stuff. So yeah, there's some that are worth.
did you ever read the Clone Saga?
That was about whenever I started getting out of it. The Spider-Man Clone Saga.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, that was just a bit hectic because.
Yeah.
And then they redid it. They redid the Clone Saga, what's the most bizarre version of Peter Parker you've ever heard of?
It's got to be Peter Porker, right?
Peter Porker. I almost forgot about Peter Porker.
Spectacular Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I've heard of. Okay, you've heard of the Ultimate Verse, like the Ultimate Marvel and stuff?
Yeah.
There was Ultimate Spider-Man, and they did a clone, sort of like a mini clone saga there, where one of the clones was a female version of Peter Parker. Dr. Octopus cloned these multiple versions of Peter Parker, and one of them was a female. And I'm thinking, first I'm like, well, how can you do that? And then he's like, well, we just removed the Y chromosome.
Yeah.
Because men and women are XX and men are XY. So what was that one? Not the last couple of Spider-Man movies, but the Spider-Man movies before this. I think wasn't it called Ultimate Spider-Man or you know what I'm talking about?
I know. Are you talking about like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans?
No, not Tobey. Not Tobey. The guy who came after him.
Is that where she dies at the power plant thing or something? Like,
yeah, like in a clock tower.
when she falls and he almost catches her, and then she snaps right before she hits, and
yeah,
dies.
that happened in the comic books. Of course,
that was tragic.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever read it's a Spider-Man comic? Oh, what is it called? where Peter Parker finds out that Gwen Stacy had an affair with Harry Osborn.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
I
only own 3 comic books.
But she had twins, and she went off to France. Went off to was it France or England, someplace in Europe, and then when she came back, she came back and she left them there when she came back, and after that, that's when when she died, and they sort of retconned it, saying that's why the Green Goblin killed her. And it wasn't anything to do with him finding out who Spider-Man was. They sort of which I don't like that retcon, but I was like, what? This old man, why would she even had it? But that made room for, when she died, that made room for Mary Jane. No,
So Jeff, something else we've talked about a lot. I'd be curious to hear what you think about. What do you think about how they handled the time travel in the Marvel in the last couple of the Endgame and the, how they went back and forth? My son and I have this ongoing argument, and Matt and I have discussed it too. Like, how like I'm from the Back to the Future generation, right? So you go into the future and you mess up something and it messes up something else, and
butterfly effect.
But the Marvel, is like, okay, this universe happens parallel to this universe, so it's okay that something different happened up here because this down here is still the same because this already happened, and so we have this ongoing conversation. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on what's right?
I don't know. I like that one better it's like, nope, it already happened and it's part of the timeline whenever it already happened that way, because then you couldn't go back and that. So I did see somebody, I think it was Popular Mechanics, there was an article on, and I meant to read it, but they talked about like how how time travel, the mechanics of it would be, where it would be more fluent like that, where it wouldn't change everything, like the Back to the Future, where you don't exist if your parents didn't split. Like, no, they were always there, right? So yeah, it's a cool way to think about it.
So yeah, we argue that because instead of time being like a straight line, there's some little loop things that can happen. It's kind of fascinating.
I have thought maybe there's another science fiction shows, like they've said, oh well, it takes time for that deviation in time to reach up with us. I'm like, because you always usually think, oh, it should be just like that. And like, okay, it's like the whole, think about, the grandfather paradox. Like, it's one reason why they say time travel can't happen. Like, say, okay, you want to go back in time and kill your grandfather, well, then you're never born. All right. But what if you still exist, but it just took time to reach up with you? But that I don't quite like.
That's kind of a stretch.
But then again, like Michelle was saying, what if there are just parallel lines? Like, they talk about different dimensions. What if there's the dimensions are more like realities that are on there? We are on the same path, but they're each going the same direction. But this is why I think if someone ever did time travel to the past and then try to get back, it would not be the same time or place they left from. It might look, sound, and be where they came from, but it would not be where they came from.
See, but a lot of movies have played with that concept, and some have done it really well and some have done it really poorly. The Harry Potter movies, they do some of that in the one movie. They go back and forth in time, like Hermione has a little time turner and she goes back, and it all like filters in together and it all ends up, like it happened as if it already happened, even though it never happened because they hadn't gone back. And, so it's like how that all works, I don't know. But it's like in my house, we spend way too much time discussing those kind of things. I hope someday your girls, you get to have those conversations, Jeff. I think you'd enjoy it.
How old are your girls?
Absolutely. They're 11 and 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. I was,
Because my youngest is 21 now, so my kids are all older.
Yeah.
so you probably, what is the highest rating of like shows do you let your children watch?
We'll stretch them to PG-13 depending on what they are. Like my
It's a
oldest-
good Marvel movie.
yeah, right. We like some of the kind of the suspenseful ones, like Signs.
Oh,
Oh,
Sign.
no way, no how. That's too intense for me.
I did
Yeah.
get sort of scared when I first watched that. I sort of still get scared when I watch.
No, it's
Signs.
tricky. They do great cinematic things where they just kind of tease you a little bit, up until the point where you see a foot here or there, a shadow, and so that's a big one being PG-13. I think same thing. A lot of the M. Night Shyamalan movies are kind of like that.
Those
Yeah.
are scary.
Mi-
Yeah, those are good.
Well, do you think he's sort of a has-been now? Like, because he does the same thing over and over again. It's always a twist. It's always a little twist at the end. Like, what a twist!
Well, he just put I think it was last year or something. He did a series on Apple TV. More streaming, right? It was called. Oh boy,
I've never watched anything on Apple TV.
Yeah, they have
Oh,
their
what's
own
it called?
series.
I just got a free trial of Apple TV.
It's called The Servant. I believe it's The Servant, and he did those, and that's a little darker and a little more demented, and it doesn't have a lot of I don't know. It's the way it's centered around is somebody that has had a nervous breakdown and kind of
Oh,
what they're going in because of deep personal loss, and you're like, oh, so some of the stuff gets really heavy, but yeah, his stuff it's a little out there as a series, but I think so. That was the last thing I think that he's done, but it was good, but it almost got to be kind of like, do I want to watch this? Because it was it was a little heavy, some of the content.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I know he really messed up. Okay, they called it The Last Airbender because it came out the same year as Avatar. But you remember Avatar?
Yeah.
But you remember like on the Nickelodeon show, The Last Airbender?
Yes.
Avatar. He really messed that. That was a potential to make a really good film. And I think that's when a lot of this like like where they said, oh no, they've been doing that for years about, what's his name? What's that famous Western actor's name? The Duke.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, the Duke. Is that what his name is?
Is it Clint Eastwood?
They call him the Duke.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah,
You're right.
He played Genghis Khan. A white guy played Genghis Khan.
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, he did. And so what I'm getting at is there was some roles in that movie, and there was a lot of people who were upset about it by why are these Caucasian actors playing roles that were, you really couldn't tell but it was really Eastern, heavily based on it. It was an American made animated series, but it was based on Eastern traditions and philosophy. And then that's when the internet was blowing up with like, oh, why are all these characters, a lot of these characters white? And then the movie was terrible at that. I, it's the same way with like reading a good book and then you go watch the movie that they're based on it. I mean, I'm like, films or anything you would like to see remade, or a book that you would like to be seen into a movie?
Trying to think of other ones that are out there that they've already done. You know, me, all the comic books that I've loved, they had, you know, they kind of touched elements of all the characters that I've seen. Like I really liked, they did maybe a more serious. My favorite X-Men was Colossus, and they kind of they cameoed him a little bit here and there, and they put. I mean, he was featured in the second Deadpool or whatever.
He was in the first and second Deadpool.
That's right. But other than that, like he was always one of those interesting characters.
I did like him in that. And okay, since you mentioned that, there was an announcement that they are going to make a third Deadpool.
Oh, really?
Yep. I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't. Hey, are you also a Predator fan?
Yes. Yeah, I've enjoyed those Predator movies.
You guys talk among yourselves.
Have you heard about? Okay, I'll cycle back. Did you ever read any of the Predator comics, like from Dark Horse or?
I didn't. I remember Dark Horse did some of those, but yeah, I don't remember them. Speaking, if you bring that up though, other comic book universes, I liked. It was Valiant that ended
There's
up
Valiant. There's I know about Valiant. I know about Image. I know about DC. I know. Oh.
Yeah, I think Valiant did. I think they had Grifter. I can't remember if that was Image or Valiant.
Drifter. Did you say Drifter?
Grifter.
Grifter.
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar.
And out of Image universe, I like Prophet. There's a book called Prophet, but I think it's because the art is so over the top, like really cool.
I tried to look that up, and I was like, now does he like wear a weird looking preacher outfit?
I think he did he wears some of that whenever he had on. I remember him shirtless a lot.
Oh,
but yeah.
Oh, maybe I should look into that.
You would want to look into that.
And he had like this really not spiky black hair, but it was like almost like, say, like a fro.
Yeah, like
I remember him.
Yes, kind of spiky, and he had kind of he wore kind of like a head thing, and it kind of popped out of the top.
Was it Image? No, Mirage. Mirage comic books was the one who did the Ninja Turtles, right?
That sounds right. Yeah,
I believe it was Mirage who did the Ninja Turtles, and Ninja Turtles was actually based a little bit on Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
That was a bad movie.
Which one?
Daredevil. That was a terrible
I
movie.
liked it. I liked the one with
That's painful.
What was his name? Not Matt.
Was it Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck. I liked it actually, and I loved the soundtrack.
I don't remember that. I remember watching it, but I remember watching the Netflix series a little bit more.
Oh, that was good too. You need to watch the Netflix series, Michelle.
I might like that. I didn't like the movie. I liked that movie about as much as Green Lantern.
Oh God, that would make me want to puke.
That one got killed.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big Green Lantern universe fan. I like the mythology, and I'm like, this is what you give us?
They did that movie bad.
Oh yeah, they did that dirty. They did that movie dirty, man.
It was gimmicky. I remember I saw it in 3D, and it was That was the gimmick to it.
Oh,
That's funny.
do you
Yeah.
I saw it
remember?
on TV. It was not impressive.
Do you remember in Deadpool, the first Deadpool, where they're wheeling him into that, like he's on the stretcher, and they're wheeling him into that room where they're doing all those experiments on him, and they're saying he's saying about, well, don't make the super suit green or CGI, because it's the same actor who played in and I'm like, I sort of never did think that and I didn't think that Ryan Reynolds would be a good Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of the Deadpool because my son said I wouldn't like him, so I trusted him.
Yeah, they're a little crasser than what the hero, like, he was always on the verge of, he was a little on the dark side, like in the comic books.
He's like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He's like an
Yeah, my son's
anti-hero.
like, you wouldn't like him, don't watch it. I'm like, okay.
There's actually a oh God, I don't remember her name, but do you know there's like a female Deadpool?
Oh,
She wears like this pink and white outfit. And you know what her powers are?
what's that?
Comic books. They say she's from our reality, but somehow she got trapped in the Marvel universe. And she can predict what's going to happen because everything's so, blasé, to where, oh, well, this is going to happen because, oh, the writers are going to want to do this and that. I can see how this is going to go.
Yeah.
So she can predict what's going to, and she tells some of people, she eventually hooks up with these villains at one point because she said, I need money. And she tells them, well, you're all a bunch of comic book characters. And then she meets Doctor Strange. She meets Doctor Strange, and he does this weird thing where, he's doing the little circly hand things. And he looks into her universe and he sees, oh, Benjamin Cumberbatch, who they decided to play me.
Oh, that's funny.
It is funny. It was,
Jeff, something else we've talked about. Have you ever been to like a Comic-Con or any kind of convention?
I went to the Columbus Expo, but they were having it. They were just starting it, and I was there for something else. And I was so wanting to go that way. I was there for like a professional in-service, and they were just setting this thing up. And I'm like, oh, of all the days, like,
I think Matt and I both been to that one in Columbus.
Yes,
And
I went to that one twice, and then I went to Gym City. I think it was one, I forget where that is, but I went to Gym City, and then I went to another one with my nephew and sister. I made my nephew a costume. He was supposed to be a Minecraft character. I made my provider and me. We made it out of cardboard boxes.
nice.
Okay, were you born in the 80s, or were you born? I'm just trying to. I just asked that because I'm like, do you think 80s movies are somewhat better than today's?
Yeah, I'm wearing my Frog Brothers shirt from Lost Boys.
Oh, yes.
So yeah.
I have, well, mine's an old t-shirt of, well, it's The Invisible Man. So
Nice.
I guess I go farther back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the original Invisible Man, the black and white version.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
little campy, but it's good. The Lost Boys, that was such a good movie. They did come out with some sequels. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
Yeah.
They had that. They had the one guy. The one had the one guy in it. In the original one, he wore like a bandana. Like a headband.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was like they said the two Coreys,
Feldman and Hank, yeah, they were.
Yeah,
big.
he was one of the Coreys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was in the one because I think the one he was supposed to be in it, but when they started shooting, it wasn't too long after that he died of a drug overdose because he had serious trouble with drug addictions.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of
But hey, Matt, we probably should let Jeff go. We've kept him for a long time. We
Okay.
probably get a couple videos out of this.
No,
all right.
Thank you guys for having me. It was great.
Oh
talking.
yeah, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for being on.
We really appreciate you joining us. Yeah.